Continuing we left off with the previous one, talking about the Incredible Hulk. Now, the Hulk had two famous catchphrases, basically. Now, he's not the only one who has got catchphrases in Marvel Comics. There's also Namor and the Thing. Thing's catchphrase is, "It's clobbering time." For Namor, it's Imperious Rex. In the case of the Hulk, it's Hulk Smash. And Hulk is strongest there is. Which they did play that with his Ultimate version, Mesro. He's like, Hulk is the smartest there is. Playing the fact that he's basically Dr. Bruce Banner. Now, Stan Lee would basically write a majority of the time, basically, when it comes to the Incredible Hulk, throughout the original Incredible Hulk series, and of course, also his Tales of Astonish run. Up until, well, the last two issues of the run. Yep. Where it's basically done by Maurice Severin. I'm not familiar with him. This person, yes. And this was the writer who basically wrote the series forward up until the early 70s. Now, during this particular period of time, we had Leen Wein take over the book, and he had possibly one of the best first appearances ever in comic books. A first appearance that is worth a lot of money. For issues 180 to 182, it is the 3-part first appearance of Wolverine. Yes, Wolverine made his first appearance in a Hulk comic. He is one of a handful of X-Men characters to make debut in another comic book that's not X-Men related. Excuse me. Aside from him, these following characters, who are X-Men characters, made their comic book debut in a non-X-Men book besides Wolverine. Wolverine's arch nemesis is Sabretooth, who first appeared in Iron Fist 14. We also have Deathbird and Mystique, who made their first appearances in the pages of Miss Marvel Volume 1, which Carol Danvers did fight Mystique later on toward the end of the second volume for the series once again. There's also Rogue, who made her first appearance back in Avengers number 10, the annual that fixed basically what happened in Avengers 200. And, excuse me, I think that's it. Yeah, Lee Wein himself was also the original writer for the X-Men when it came to the Chris Claremont run. He basically did Giants of X-Men, and he did the first issue basically come right after that, though Chris Claremont took over right afterwards. Yep. Now he had a few different artists basically for his ring. Herb Tramp and Sal Buscema. Yep. Of course, Hulk got himself a spin-off book, Rampage Hulk. I've read it. It's pretty good. This book basically it's basically in a way a black and white book. It was known as Rampage Hulk for the first 9 issues before they changed the name to The Hulk magazine with issue 10, and this lasted to issue number 27. They did briefly revive the Rampage Hulk title in the 90s. Yep. Now, aside from the introduction of Wolverine, now Hulk basically spent a lot of the time from issues 102 to about 300, close to that, basically just drive around the country, go to Canada. He went all over the place. Heck, he made a guest appearance in Amazing Spider-Man for an issue, where he fought Spider-Man for the first time. Oh yeah, first up, several times he fought the Hulk. Yeah, because apparently Marvel kind of likes having the Hulk fight Spider-Man. Yeah, also Hulk even fought frickin' Daredevil. Yes, not only has he fought the Thing, he's also fought the Juggernaut. Yeah, he's fought the Juggernaut. He's fought the Rhino. And there's something quite strange, though. The Rhino, for some reason, was briefly made into a Hulk villain, despite the fact he's a Spider-Man villain. Yeah, he would constantly appear in Hulk book, despite the fact he's a Spider-Man villain. Yeah, it's really weird. Yep. And then, of course, by the 80s, basically, we had the introduction of, well, then we had, of course, after Leen Wein left the book, we had John Byrne take over the book, briefly, which I thought was the 90s when Hulk and Betty first married. No, it was actually the 80s. Yeah, Byrne was basically in the book very briefly. Yep. Now, before Byrne took over, we had the awesome Bill Mantlo in the book, who took over issue 245, which he left after issue 313. Very brief period of time. He also had the weird thing of basically having Doctor Strange send the Hulk to another dimension. Also in the 70s, before I continue on to the 80s, we had the introduction of the Hulk being in the Defender series, a book he was in for a lot of the book's run. Because if you ever read the Defenders book, he's in almost every issue for pretty much the first 125 issues of the series. He was in. And then he left. Yep, he frickin' left. Now you're probably thinking, why in the world did he leave for? Well, because basically Jay and the Matias wanted to change direction of the book, so he dropped the original cast in favor of a new cast, which ultimately doomed the book, because the book got cancelled less than 26 issues later. Well, actually more like 27 issues later. Yeah, Hulk basically loved, from what I can tell, writers at Marvel love having the Hulk be in Defenders. He would occasionally return to the Avengers. At one point, he was even offered a position in Defenders, which was never followed up with. He didn't properly rejoin the Avengers, believe it or not until AVX. Yes, that's when he finally rejoined the Avengers. Actually, it was more like Avengers Assemble he finally returned to the Avengers. Yeah, I have no idea what. As we mentioned, we had John Byrne to go briefly, and then we had Roger Stern, and eventually we had the awesome Peter David. Oh yeah, Peter David took over the book. He took over issue 331, and he didn't leave until I think the final issue. That was 374. Yeah, he was pretty much like the main writer for a long period of time. He didn't finally finish up his era. I mean, he came back. The book was relaunched in the 2000s. He came back to the book and he finally left in the mid 2000s. I think it was just prior to Greg Pak taking over the book. Now, during Peter David's run, he did some weird things. Like, for example, Ross and Betty, gone. They were apparently got killed off for some reason. The Betty later, well, let's just say he came back. He came back toward the end of the run. And of course, Betty herself she would apparently get killed off, though she came back. Well, actually, yeah, she stayed dead for a pretty good period of time, up until the 2000s. Yep, Betty Ross actually died. For some reason, Marvel began to kill her off. Also, during Peter David's run of the book, he introduced the character Marla Chandler, a woman who later became the wife of Rick Jones. Fun thing this is. He also had the Hulk live in Las Vegas, become a bouncer he basically became basically a bouncer at a casino. He went by the alias of Joe Fixit, and also he turned gray. Yeah, he was like this for a period of time. And it was thanks to Peter David's run I got interested in comic books. My very first comic book I ever read is actually from the Peter David run. No joke, it seriously is. It's actually issue 402. Yeah, the issue where he fought the Juggernaut. Yeah, he frequently fought the Juggernaut over the years. And it was a pretty interesting run. I mean, he did introduce some stuff, basically, that's mostly still there today. And then when he lead toward the end of his run, he did basically up and leave a few times. And one of the times he was in the book, we had during the last, one can tell during the last couple of years of the original volume before it got relaunched, he had the introduction of the Thunderbolts. Yep, Kurt Busiek took the book briefly and had the introduction of Thunderbolts, which they were around for several years. As a matter of fact, their last appearance was back in 2017, where they apparently disbanded because they apparently had the whole roster join the Army of Evil, led by evil Captain America for some strange reason. Don't know why. Toward the end of the book, basically, General Ross came back, but not Betty Ross for some reason. Though he did end up having Abomination arrested for killing Betty Ross. Yeah, he killed her. And also, if you ever read Peter David's run, it seems like he dropped a lot of stuff familiar for the Hulk. Though some of the stuff he introduced were still pretty much there. Also, fun fact, in Hulk's original first appearance, he was colored gray. I have heard the reason why they changed it to green, and here's the reason why. Because apparently it was due to a printing error. Yes, for some reason, whenever they printed the gray, it came out as black. So they changed it to completely green, and he's basically been green for a long period of time. And of course, I thought it was basically Rick Jones, Bruce Wayne, right? Nope, it was Rick Jones married Marla Chandler, which, as far as I can tell, they're still kind of married, even though Marla Chandler herself has not appeared in many years. Like, I think the last time she appeared was back in the 2000s. Rick Jones did occasionally still appear, well, up until what happened to Singing Empire, but I'll get to that later. Then pretty much with 374, the book was relaunched simply as The Hulk. Lasted for 11 issues before with issue 12 we had it returned to the Incredible Hulk name, and it stayed like this for 100 issues. Yep, 100 issues. This, of course, also period of time we had some illusions. We had people, someone apparently being Betty Rock. Oh, also, I almost forgot to mention this guy. I can't continue without mentioning him. During the Incredible Hulk series, basically during the period of time, I think it was either before or 200, we introduced a popular Hulk supporting character, Doc Samson. Yep, Doc Samson's introduced. And if you ever see like his first appearance, yeah, the guy hasn't changed very much over the years. Excuse me. Though I should point out, though, when the book was relaunched as simply The Hulk, they actually had John Byrne come back to the book for a certain period of time, then he finally left. The book became very odd under Peter David, and when he finally left, that's when Greg Pak took over and he did something really, really weird. Yep, it just by sheer coincidence, like right after Peter David left, that's when the interesting stuff happens with Hulk. Like, Hulk gets launched into space. Not the first time he's been to space, mind you. He gets launched into space by the Illuminati. Yep, the Illuminati, a group of characters whose group itself was created by Brian Bendis. The group is comprised of, well, get this. Now, here's the thing. Now, the meeting they made this decision to send him to space, Xavier was not here at this meeting, so I think he's a member of Illuminati. He wasn't here due to the fact that he was actually dealing with M-Day. So at this meeting, we had Namor, who was a friend of the Hulk. He actually said no to him in space. We also had Iron Man, Reed Richards, Black Bolt, though later on revealed to be a Skrull. Black Panther was offered a position on this particular backdoor team, but he declined because he didn't like backdoor deals. Despite the fact Hickman had to join the team in 2013 for some strange reason. I don't know why. Mostly put made up of all the geniuses in the Marvel Universe, in a way. And everybody with the exception of Namor, boldness in the space. Now, in the Planet Hulk movie, they basically kind of switched around. The scene where they had basically Illuminati talk to the Hulk when he's out in space, yeah, for some reason they replaced it with Iron Man. This bad fact in the original comic book, it was Reed Richards. Yep. And then Greg Pak had one of the most popular storylines introduced for the Hulk, Planet Hulk, which was a storyline people demanded for years be adapted for live action, even for a movie. There were, from what I heard, there was plans basically to do it, but well, because of all the legal stuff involving the Hulk and Universal, that's basically the reason we have. We did have a loose adaptation of it in Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, Hulk was sent to Sakaar. Yep, he was sent to Sakaar. Now, if you see the Planet Hulk movie, it's mostly, with the exception of the beginning, it's mostly like intact, basically, of what happened. Though they did change basically who he beat up in the arena, which old friend he had to fight. In the comic book, it was the Silver Surfer. In the movie, it was Beta Ray Bill. I have heard there was the reason why this was changed, and the reason was legal issues with Fox over the Silver Surfer. That's the reason we didn't have Hulk versus Silver Surfer. Now, here's the thing. Silver Surfer's cameo in this particular storyline, basically even anybody reads like, what the heck is a Silver Surfer doing in a gladiatorial arena? No idea. Also, this storyline kind of had a bit of a retcon, in a way. Gorak, basically, the character played by director Thor Ragnarok, Taika Waititi, he actually, believe it or not, he was later retconned. He was retconned in the story to be one of the Rockmen who fought Thor in his first appearance, because originally they were like Rockmen from Jupiter, but nope, he was actually one of them. Yes, believe it or not, he was one of them. For some reason, Pak decided to retcon this in there. Don't know why. And of course, well, Hulk later overthrew the Red King. Well, of course, he beat the crap out of him, of course. And became the king of Sakaar. Briefly, he also got a chance to get a smoking hot wife. Claire, I think her name is. He even briefly turned back Bruce Banner, just so these two can mate. Later on, it was revealed she got pregnant. Yep. And then, at the end of the Planet Hulk storyline, She, along with about half the population of Sakaar, died. Why? Because of Hulk's spaceship. Yep, because of Hulk's spaceship, it blew up. So, Hulk gets angry. So he summons his Warbound, basically the gladiators follow him in the gladiator arena. And what do? They head for Earth. Meanwhile, though, the superhero community basically is recovering from the Civil War incident, from Civil War 1, with basically Tony Stark being director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and of course Fantastic Four working closely with S.H.I.E.L.D. and whatnot. Hulk basically shows up over Manhattan, and he basically demands the surrender of the Illuminati. Now, here's the thing. This public Illuminati is known for many things. The only thing that's public knowledge about the Illuminati is that they sent the Hulk to space. Yep. And if you read the storyline, it is fantastic. Though the person I'm stopping the Hulk in this story, I'm trying to be the Sentry. He was a character who showed up in the early 2000s. Well, apparently, he was recognized to be an old friend of the Hulk. He was created by Jay Lee, and I think it was Paul Jenkins who created him. Yep, in case you read it, it's a great storyline. Pac wrote it, John Romita Jr. drew it. I own the trade payback for it. And then right after this, something interesting happened. Now, the Incredible Hulk title ended issue 112. And then, of course, Pac left. He came back, a while. He came back almost 10 years later. He came back to the book. And in the book, it relaunched simply as Hulk again. This time with Jeff Loeb on the writing and Ed McGuinness on the artwork. Where in the first issue, we have a Red Hulk show up. Now, a lot of people probably thought at that time, wait, is this Bruce Banner changing his skin color again? Nope. They poked fun of this in an episode of Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Like, oh, that's not the regular Hulk. Well, heck, he was once even gray. But nope, this is not the Hulk. This is Red Hulk. In the first issue of this run, what does he do? Beats the crap out of the Abomination. And then shoots him in the head. He also killed the Wendigo, and he also punched the Watcher. Yes, Red Hulk had the balls to do this. And this is all within the first year of the character. Yep. Toward the end of the first year, something really interesting happened. Well, we had a Offenders versus Defenders storyline where the Hulk pretty much gathered time dispatch versions of Doctor Strange, the Silver Surfer, and Namor, while Red Hulk, aka Rolk, basically assembled Tarak the Tamer, Baron Mordo, and I think the other one was Tiger Shark. Yeah, these are the guys that they pretty much assembled in order to take on. And of course, Hulk basically, also I forgot to mention this, Hulk had a lover when he was off in space the first time, where he met a woman named Jarella who was going to be his lover, though this was basically a grand play between the Grandmaster and, of course, the Challenger. Not Challenger, and the Collector. Which, of course, Grandmaster lost, actually, when he apparently got killed by Red Hulk. Jarella's body was turned to the Hulk, and then after that, in issue 600, of course, the book had returned 600 in 2009, and one of the most weirdest things happened. You see, the Red Hulk has the ability to drain gamma radiation. Yep. So what does he do? He drains the Hulk of his gamma power. This lasts for about a year in comic time. Yeah, about a year. So basically, Bruce Banner is basically human. He's there with his son, Sakaar. One of two sons he's got, mind. Yes, he's got two sons. Yeah, they build this in the spin-off title, Sakaar, Son of Hulk, where, yeah, Sakaar's got a brother who is evil, who showed up in the storyline long after Hulk became Hulk. And then we had the Fall of the Hulk storyline and then World War Hulks, where during the course of the storyline, it was revealed that I think it was in Fall of the Hulks, it was revealed that, of course, also prior to this, to figure out though, there was also a team assembled prior to this. Basically, Hulk's Red Team, which is comprised of Elektra, Deadpool, the Punisher, all to take out Domino. Yes, because she found out Red Hulk's secret identity. Oh, and by the way, this team was basically given to Red Hulk by General Ross. General Ross. Yeah, this revealed to be a robot. Yep, they retconned this to be a robot later, though this was Loeb, basically retconning his own work. Because it was revealed in issue 24 that the Red Hulk was in fact General Ross himself. And during this Hulk vs. X-Force storyline, we had the introduction of Red She-Hulk, which they had this in a flashback issue. Something really weird happened. Yes, like I think it was in Fall of the Hulks where the leader and I think it was MODOK watching a video of Domino fighting Red She-Hulk, where, get this is what happened. This is quite strange. Okay, so Domino kind of ruined Red She-Hulk's outfit. So what did Red She-Hulk do? She stripped Domino butt naked. All because she slashed at her suit. And Elektra ended up having to save her. And basically, like, what? You couldn't go back to my clothes? Like, you want your life saved? I'm like, wow. Yes. I'm not really sure of why. Now, it wasn't like basically she just pulled down Domino's zipper and then pulled it off that way. No, she literally ripped it off her to basically expose her completely naked to cold hair. Yeah, showing off Domino's chalk white butt. Yes, Domino has got chalk white skin from head to toe. Yeah, this is a video that was something like during the Hulk versus X-Force storyline. Yeah, and this is X-Force. This is the Chris Joseph Craig Cal version when Domino was on the roster. Yep. Oh yeah, and who was Red She-Hulk? Now Red Hulk, that made perfect sense. A lot of people buy that because of how Red Hulk acted. Red She-Hulk, on the other hand, this felt a bit left out. Even today, basically, think about it today from hindsight, that this made absolutely no sense. Red She-Hulk was revealed to be Betty Ross, the one who died at the hands of Abomination. Yeah, this is later revealed in a backstory where apparently Red Hulk made a deal with the Intelligentsia. Yeah, it's a group of super genius criminals, which he was part of, though he later left in the World War Hulk storyline. Which basically, in exchange for turning him to the Red Hulk, he basically wanted his daughter revived as the Red She-Hulk. Yeah. Now, in case you're curious, though, am I going to talk about She-Hulk herself? That I'm going to discuss in a separate video, because there's some sort of stuff, weird stuff related to the character I'll discuss in a later video. Yep. Now, Loeb later left right after the events of World War Hulks. Which, by the way, in case you've ever seen the promotion picture of this event, actually it was Fall of the Hulks, where the promotion image is basically a clear homage to Fall of the Mutants. Yep, it's a clear homage. Now, right after this, the Hulk title, Greg Pak took over the main title of Incredible Hulk. Hulk itself was, after Jeff Loeb left through 24, for the remainder of the run, from 25 to about 57, it was Jeff Parker in the book. Like the Hulk go to space. It was basically like Red. It basically became fully Red Hulk solo title. Incredible Hulk, on the other hand, at the events of World War Hulks, became World War Hulks, which he basically from our team was on Warbound, and of course his son was there, and it came a lot of backup features for even the Micronauts, though a few of them anyways. And the first story they did was Dark Sun, which had the Hulk fight his younger son, which the storyline ended by having the Hulk trap him in the Earth's core, which as far as I can tell, he's still there. Though they had this really interesting thing basically with the covers, where a lot of them were interconnected. Like if you take like 4 of the issues, they'll basically connect the covers. Excuse me. Yeah, it was an interesting idea for a storyline. Now, the whole idea of the book became Incredible Hulks. This lasted for up until issue 625, where Sakaar the Necessity of Savage Land after basically death of Meek, which became Sakaar became the King of the Savage Land, and that set up a mini-series involving him. Yep, and then, of course, not long after this, we had the Hulk title get relaunched. At issue 635 to Incredible Hulk. Now, this run is not very much talked about. Well, is due to the writer Jason Aaron? No, because it's not exactly a memorable run. I barely remember what happened this run. It's been a long time since I read it. I do know that he fought Kraven the Hunter during this period. Yes, he fought Kraven the Hunter for one issue. But aside from that, can you think of anything else really happened in this book? And then right after this, we had Indestructible Hulk, where it started Mark Waid's 2-year run in the book, where it started with this and later ended basically was simply titled Hulk, where Hulk basically worked for Shield, and during this period of time he killed off Atuma. Yep. Now the storylines are collecting is a really good series, lasted for 20 issues. Had one annual which had Iron Man team with Hulk for one issue. Interesting idea for storyline, mind you, yes. Also, this period of time, Hulk joined 2 Avenger teams. He joined the main team. He also was part of the Secret Avengers. Well, the second volume for this series. Third volume, he was like nowhere near it at all. He also apparently, when he joined Shield, he got armor for some reason. Don't know why. And he had the second story deal with the aftermath of Age of Ultron, where he attempted to fix time, which he did. And the thing is, despite the fact Timeline was clearly broken by Brian Bendis, yeah, even I clearly noticed this, even years later, even after this happened. I mean, it's been like almost 10 years. It's been like 7 years since Age of Ultron happened. And apparently, no one at Marvel was allowed to fix basically Bendis' cause. It's like, oh, let's do like one story, and that's like not exactly proper fix. Heck, the Timeline was not able to be broken publicly until the events of Black Vortex, where apparently it was discovered by Beast of the X-Men. Yeah, he discovered that the timeline was broken. Yeah, as far as I can tell, timeline wasn't fixed because apparently Al Ewing wanted to fix it, but got interrupted by Civil War 2. It's like, apparently, well, Bendis was there. No one can fix the timeline despite the fact how crazy it is. Toward the end of the run, we had something really weird happen. Bruce Banner being shot in the head. Yeah, the thing about this is the storyline was actually not resolved by Mark Waid because he actually left not long after this. Yeah, he left after 4 issues. Also, I should point out though, the artwork changed too for this book. It was taken by Mark Bagley. Good artist. Love this guy's artwork. Where it lasted for 16 issues and had 2 writers. First it had basically Hulk DOA, which was the opening story of this run, and it was also the end of Mark Waid's run in the book. Also, Maria Hill became sort of a supporting character in this book. Basically, she was appearing everywhere this period. Yeah, during 2013, she appeared in this book, she appeared in Secret Avengers, she appeared in Black Widow, and in Kenny X-Men. All because she's director of S.H.I.E.L.D., she has to appear everywhere. No joke about that. And then after that, she popped up once after this, a couple times in Gary Duggan's run, called the Omega Hulk, which is a really good storyline. It's not very long, mind you. It's only 12 issues and an annual. Which, of course, what does Hulk do? Well, thanks to he got some sort of thanks to a piece of extremis put in his brain, which fixed a hole in his head, he became Doc Green. Yep. A super genius, which the first thing he wanted to do is to get all gamma radiation into gamma radiation. The first person he cures is, of course, Rick Jones, because during Jeff Loeb run, he became A-Bomb. And the first thing he did, cured him. And then he cured Betty Ross. He took a while to cure Red Hulk. He also cured the Gamma Corps. He talked to Hulkling, but apparently Hulkling's power has nothing to do with Gamma Radiation, which is fine. He even tried, now, I also forgot to mention this, during the events of War of Hulks, Doc Samson died, and the Hulk dug up his grave to basically see what Gamma Radiation in his body. It probably wasn't. And then pretty much toward the end, he had like one person left aside from himself who had Gamma Radiation. And that was She-Hulk, but knowing Marvel and how popular She-Hulk is, they're not going to depower her. Nope, not depower her at all. So, also the Hulk decided, now I should also point out though, that basically, I forgot to mention this for Loeb, he pretty much had in the final issue, aside from the fact that he revealed that Red Hulk was basically Ross, he also had Ross pretty much depower the Leader and the original MODOK. Leader himself was repowered in the pages of Thunderbolts as the Red Leader, though he became Green Leader again later on toward the end of the book. Now, here's something strange about the Leader. He never fought the Hulk ever again. I think the last time he fought the Hulk was actually when Jeff Loeb was basically writing the character, but apparently, nope, can't have him come back for some reason. Also, in the last story I forgot to mention for Mark Waid's run, he also apparently had the Hulk fight a resurrected Abomination, which even I thought that was kind of weird. Yeah, we also, there was one thing I forgot to mention. It was Chaos War, where he fought a resurrected version of his dead father. Like, anybody who died for Hulk came back briefly for a few issues. Where he Doctor Strange guest star. It was an interesting period of time. Chaos War is an event that hardly anybody talks about. It's pretty much a forget. It's an event that no one really talks about. It's kind of like Shadowland. There was some talk about that one. Chaos War, no. For some reason, this event's ignored. This event's really interesting. Maybe because it's featuring big stars in it. That's probably the reason why. The main character in that story is Hercules and Thor. Yep. So, pretty much it comes to Hulk like right after, once the Mega Hulk story grabs up issue 16. Then, of course, Secret Wars happens, and afterwards, apparently Bruce Banner is no longer the Hulk again, and the Gamma Race's power transferred to Amadeus Cho, and he became the totally awesome Hulk, with Greg Pak as the writer. Yeah, this book was really weird under his run. Yeah, it's like, this run basically wasn't popular. I thought it was I thought it was an okay run, though it did debut a team of characters led by the totally awesome Hulk, where he basically called them like something like the champions. Though later on he later became the leader of the Ages of Atlas, the new version of them. Yes. Also, he had his own car. He had his sister support working with him too. Also, this is something quite interesting though. The promotion image for Totally Awesome Hulk is he had his face and his hand under silhouette until they revealed the first issue. Yeah, that was something they did for a lot of books, basically, but that was one because they changed it. You had to reveal a backstory that apparently the Gamma issue was basically killing Hulk, Bruce Banner, so they drained him of his body, transferred to Amadeus Cho. This lasted for about a year, and then Bendis stuck his nose in. This was a very unpopular retcon, almost as bad as his unpopular retcon for turning Iceman out as gay. Yeah, people still hate Marvel for that. This is something else that apparently that a lot of people even point out though. Yeah, this is our bullcrap. Apparently somehow Bendis retconned it where somehow, despite the fact Bruce Banner was completely drained of gamma radiation, he apparently had a little bit left in his body, so let's have Hawkeye kill the Hulk. Go kill Bruce Banner, of course. Now, publicly, he was praised for killing the Hulk. Mostly, anyways. He was later deemed not guilty for it, though they did have a trial for him, which a lot of the time the judge was not allowing evidence through, even though it should. And also, these group of people really wanted to bring back the Super Inspiration Act, which even I thought that was stupid in the book. Though he did get fair trial, and he also was pronounced not guilty. As for, well, Amadeus Cho, he basically acted the Hulk for a little while. He also helped form up the Champions, which he was part of the book up until very recently. I think he's still part of the book as far as I can tell. Yep. What happened to his vehicle he had? Well, it seems as though when they retired the book because thanks to Marvel Legacy to Incredible Hulk, they had him basically, Greg Pak, do two storylines that were in-name sequels to two of his most popular storylines, Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. Planet Hulk had somehow, get this, somehow, Amadeus Cho got signal from Sakaar. Now you're probably thinking, why? What was the planet missing? Yeah, I got devoured by freaking Galactus, and somehow the Red King was alive, despite the fact he was ate by bugs. Well, it's Greg Pak. Maybe he didn't bother to explain what was the reason for this. Maybe it was basically due to the survivors of the planet beyond Gorilla's world being conquered in the Dark Sun miniseries for Realm of Kings. Though when he came back and went nuts, so he got briefly drained of the gamma radiation became Brawn, which he still is to this very day. And then basically the Hulk came back twice. First briefly in Second Empire. How the heck was accomplished? Nick Spencer never bothered to explain this. He just showed up randomly at the end of one issue, fights the Resistance in this one issue, in another issue, and then he gets buried in the rubble. Then he gets properly resurrected in the awesome No Surrender storyline. Yeah, he got brought back and he basically broke into the bunker the Avengers bunker that they had. He fought the Avengers, though he basically got freed. And then later on, basically, Al Ewing uses the opportunity to revive, basically, if Hulk is on solo book again. This time is the Immortal Hulk. Yeah, which I've been reviewing that trade. In trade, it is a damn good series, and should get lots of awards because of how damn good it is. Al Ewing has done a fantastic job with the book, basically making a horror title. Yes. Now, this book was brought back at what was part of a relaunch, thanks to Marvel Fresh Start, which a lot of people didn't really care for the idea of Fresh Start a couple years ago. And this was the reason why. Even I agree with this too. Because we had this thing of Marvel relaunched Titles #1 for absolutely no reason at all. Yeah, this was quite stupid for them to do. Though in the case of Immortal Hulk, this is actually one of the few titles actually got tons of praise. Yeah, this book was amazing. Actually, it still is. It's still being published. And it's going to be ending really soon. I mean, this book had Hulk fight his old foe, Exumu, basically someone he fought from the Avengers book. Rick Jones got killed off in the Avengers Empire, though he kind of came back in this book thanks to one of the villains of the book. It's a quite interesting book to read, and I highly recommend it. I don't want to spoil it too much about it, because it's just so good. Wow, so damn good. And that's what Hulk is right now, basically doing his own thing in Immortal Hulk. Though, they did kill off Sasquatch Alpha Flight for some reason. I have no idea why, but they did. Also, in case you're curious, though, there was actually one issue of the Hulk actually on trade. Yeah, it's actually where he fought Ron the Space Knight. Now, in the case of Hulk in trade paperback form, mostly put, it's been quite strange for him. Since the Hulk book, for those published back in like 1998, from that point forward, everything related to Hulk in the last 12 years has been put into trade paperback, which that's shocking compared to other characters who didn't even have the entirety of the 2000s in trade paperback, but apparently the Hulk does. And I think even Amazing Spider-Man does too. Yeah, that book is also in trade, pretty much from 1999 to present, like almost everything published. Yep. Hulk trades basically have been more, not exactly sporadic like Iron Man has. Excuse me. If you look at how many trade paperbacks Hulk has had over the years, he's had Essential Book, he has Marvel Masterworks. He's at Epic Collections, which a lot of these ones collect Peter David stories. Though Peter David's one is not fully in trade for some reason. Yeah, Marvel did this thing with Marvel Visionaries where they collect his one for some reason, and then they just stopped for some strange reason. I don't know why, but they did. But if you look at now, everything from, like I said, from 1998 to present day, from basically Hulk Volume 1, Number 1, with John Byrne in the book, from that point up until recently, everything's in trade. For the past 22 years, everything's in trade. And before that, it's sporadic at best. I would say in the case of the book itself, I would say, well, the original 6 issues, they're in trade. They've been collected several times. Tales Launch, the entire thing's in trade. As for his Incredible Hulk, I'd say about 30 to 50% of the issues are in trade, but not all of them per se. Yeah, a lot of them are. But if you were curious though about the Incredible Hulk, I mean, the thing with the Hulk is he's never put out a bad comic book. I mean, yeah, from the moment he did his debut up until, let's say, the end of the first volume, all good issues, none of them bad. When it got relaunched, it was kind of weird. Not terrible per se, but it was so strange to read these issues. When Pac took over, it was fantastic. And from that point forward, even when Pac left, the book was still really good. Yeah, really good. Nothing bad from it. I mean, the books I recommend basically is the original, like, pretty much the entirety of the first volume because it's just so damn good. I would also recommend the Greg Pak stuff, the stuff from Jeff Loeb, Jeff Parker. Would I recommend Jason Aaron run? It's up to you. It's not exactly a very memorable run. I barely remember having it. The Indestructible Hulk book, I do recommend that because that book is so damn good. Hulk Volume 3, fantastic. Everything from like, the writer run basically I recommend is Stan Lee, Bill Mantlo, Lee Wein because, well, Wolverine, Peter David, Greg Pak, Al Ewing, obviously, Mark Waid, Jeff Loeb, and Jeff Parker. These writers, in my opinion, are the best Hulk writers Hulk has ever had because they put out a lot of really good work. Some kind of weird, but that's the Hulk. He's kind of a weird character. Though here's something quite strange, though. If you were to see the trade paperback pricing for Immortal Hulk, it's only like 15. It's like $15.99. I'm like, really? As popular as the Hulk is, Marvel apparently doesn't charge very much for the trades when it comes to Hulk. Yeah, the trades a lot of time are really dirt cheap. Yeah, unlike let's say the big three like Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, their books like 18 to $20, while in the case of Hulk, $16. Yeah, really cheap. I think the Epic Collection actually costs a lot of big penny, yes. But all in all, Hulk is a great character. Okay, so that's a particular review. Stay tuned for my review for more Aztec War videos. I'm hoping to do 2 more today. Yes, hopefully do 2 more. And, well, I'll talk about what series I'm doing next when I get to the last video for Aztec War. Okay, until the next video. Bye.